The time is 12 o'clock and this is news analysis coming to you on Politics and Business Television. Thank you for joining us at this time. The top stories. End bad governance in Nigeria. Kaduna leads dogs to dawn curfew. FG governors to reach 3-month agreement on local government allocations. Marketers project 600 naira per litre for Dangote petrol. Details coming up shortly. Welcome back. I am Idris Amina. Now the news. The Kaduna State Security Council has lifted the curfew previously enforced between 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. in the metropolitan areas of Kaduna State and Zaria effective Tuesday. This was contained in a statement by the Overseeing Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, on Tuesday. After an extensive review of the security situation in Kaduna and Zaria towns and their environs, the Kaduna State Security Council, under the leadership of Governor Uba Sani, has removed the current 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. curfew completely. The removal of the curfew is effective immediately from today, Tuesday, August 13, 2024. The statement reads: the State Security Council had earlier relaxed the 24-hour curfew imposed after the violence that greeted the end bad governance in Nigeria in the state. However, in the statement, Aruwan noted the lifting of the curfew followed a comprehensive evaluation of the security landscape in these regions, urging law-abiding citizens to now resume their daily activities without any time restriction in both cities. However, the state government issued a stern warning regarding public gatherings and processions, urging residents to seek approval from the relevant authorities to prevent any disruption of public order. Now, the federal government and state governors may have agreed to a 3-month moratorium on local government autonomy over concerns arising from its impact on salary payments and operational viability. The development means local governments may have now till October before the implementation of the law in the direct payments into their respective accounts. The Supreme Court on July 11, 2024 gave a landmark judgment affirming the financial autonomy of the 774 local governments in the country and ruled that governors could no longer control funds meant for the councils. The Apex Court has directed the Accountant General of the Federation to pay LG allocations directly to their accounts as it's declared non-remittance of funds by the 36 states unconstitutional. Now to oil matters, where the independent petroleum marketers in Nigeria are hoping that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery will sell its premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, at 600 naira or 650 per litre when it is finally released into the market. Dealers under the aegis of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria say they believe that the Dangote Refinery would crash the price of petrol as it did with diesel. IPMAN National Vice President Hamed Fashola revealed in an interview on Monday that the $20 billion refinery would bring down the cost of fuel if it gets the needed support, especially as it has to do with crude supply. According to him, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, which is the sole importer of PMS, has been selling to marketers at 570 naira per litre, but most IPMAN members buy from private depot owners at 700 naira and above. The IPMAN leader said the association has had business discussions with some officials of the refinery on a possible partnership, saying the marketers are waiting for Dangote. You are watching news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. Still to come, Russian flag police move suspect to Abuja, plan sedition charges. Details of this after the break. Welcome back. The aftermath of the protest still haunting the people of Kano State, as the Kano State Police Command said on Monday it had transferred the 76 suspects arrested for flying Russian flags, including a foreigner, to the force headquarters Abuja for discreet investigation on charges of sedition. The Commissioner of Police in Kano State, Salman Garba, disclosed this on Monday while giving an update on the suspects arrested during the nationwide hunger protest that turned violent in the north. Garba said the press conference was to provide a comprehensive update on the recent violent incidents that resulted in wanton destruction and looting of government and public properties in Kano State, instigated by hoodlums under the guise of nationwide protest, as well as the achievements recorded by the command in crime prevention, management and control from August 1st to date. He disclosed that in line with the directives of the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Adeolu Egbetokun, to all commands and formations, the Kano Command worked diligently and professionally towards addressing the aftermath of this event, and this effort resulted in the arrest of 873 suspects and recovery of large quantity of exhibits. He disclosed the arrest and transfer of 76 suspects flying Russian flags, including a foreigner, to the force headquarters Abuja for discreet investigation on charges of sedition. And now to labor matters today, where the Association of Civil Servants of Nigeria has threatened to cripple the activities of states that refuse to implement the 70,000 naira new national minimum wage. President of the association, Shehu Mohammed, gave the threats yesterday in his meeting during the association's 5th quadrennial delegates conference in Lagos, where he emerged as the new president. He urged state governments to implement the new wage to improve the standard of living of their citizens, since the incomes of state governments have continued to rise following enhanced allocation from the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee. Mohammed urged that states could achieve this by reducing wastages and blocking leakages of government funds, addressing states to embrace the policy of indexing income to correspond with the rate of inflation. ASCSN new president said the most important priority now is to address the issue of the new minimum wage by constituting a committee to address the consequential adjustment towards implementation and the strategies to ensure workers have a living wage in Nigeria. Earlier, the Secretary General of the association, Joshua Apebo, argued that following the increase in allocation from the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee since the removal of fuel subsidy, the state governors should immediately implement new minimum wage to improve the standard of living of their citizens. And now to state matters. The Lagos state government has called on private organizations and residents to adopt streets and communities as part of their corporate social responsibility to enhance environmental cleanliness across Lagos State. Managing Director, Lagos Waste Management Authority, Dr. Muyiwa Badegrisin, made the call while speaking on a television program. He stressed the importance of community involvement in maintaining sanitation, urging businesses and individuals to play a more active role in the cleanliness of their immediate environment. Speaking further, he links the recent cholera outbreak to poor environmental practices such as open defecation and illegal waste disposal, stressing that the acts could be mitigated through sustained community sanitation efforts. Commenting on the ongoing community cleanup campaign by Loma and the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, he stated that what are we doing right now is sensitization, and yes, the monthly sanitation exercise is coming back. And still, you are watching news analysis live on Politics and Business Television. Join us after the break as we look at the Nigeria economy after the protest. See you shortly. Longo. You shall not just call him. Welcome back. Nigeria's hunger protest, which erupted on August 1st, 2024, was a manifestation of deep-seated frustrations among its citizens. The protest was driven by multiple factors, including the high cost of living, a recent fuel price hike, worsening economic conditions, and dissatisfaction with government policies. Now, all living former presidents and heads of state are expected to converge on the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja at noon today as President Bola Tinubu convenes a Council of State meeting. At Tuesday's meeting, his first since assuming office 14 months ago, members will discuss recent events nationwide, particularly the End Bad Governance protest, the economy, food, and the national security. It comes 18 months after the council last met on February 10, 2023, under former President Muhammadu Buhari. At the time, Buhari had convened the meeting over the 2023 elections, the crisis emanating from the new Naira policy and the fuel scarcity. President Tinubu as well is convening this meeting to look through the economic situation, hardship, and the cries of Nigerians under, before, during, and even after the protest. Days after hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets across Nigeria to protest against inflation and other economic hardships, clothes seller Michael Nwako still is counting the cost of the business he lost. At least 22 people died, according to the Amnesty International, in the demonstration that started on Thursday last week and ebbed over the weekend after a crackdown by security services. Rallies were largely peaceful in the commercial hub of Lagos, but many businesses rolled down the shutters and customers stayed home as a precaution, traders said. The End Bad Governance posted, which erupted across Nigeria on August 1st, have inflicted a heavy toll on the nation, with lives lost, property destroyed, and economic activities disrupted. While the anti-government demonstrations were largely peaceful in the south, it was characterized by violence, looting, and clashes with security personnel in Kano, Katsina, Yobe, Abuja, and other parts of the northern region, prompting the declaration of curfews in some states. At least 17 people were killed during the protests across Nigeria. The fatalities occurred in various locations, including Abuja, Kaduna, Niger, Borno, Kaduna, and Jigawa states. In Abuja and Kano, one person was shot dead in each city. In Jigawa, 2 people lost their lives. In Niger, 6 individuals were reportedly gunned down by security forces. Borno saw 4 deaths, while 3 people died in Kaduna. The Amnesty International has also reported multiple deaths, while the Nigeria Police Force has confirmed the killing of 1 officer and injuries to others. The economic repercussions of the protest are staggering. Nigeria's economy has reportedly suffered the loss of over 500 billion naira in just one day. This massive economic blow is attributed to the widespread disruption of business activities, the imposition of curfews in several states, and the general atmosphere of instability that has gripped the nation. Now the protest has come and it has gone. Can the poor masses who are into small businesses smile and say they eat 3 square meals after the protest? Let's analyze this with our guest, Wole Joshua, a chartered accountant and tax administrator. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Wole Joshua. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Wole Joshua.
Yeah, welcome. Good afternoon.
So my first question for you today is, will the former president and head of state meeting in the villa today have a speedy impact to the hardship going on in the country, looking at the fact that this same meeting was had in 2023 during the President Buhari's administration? Did it yield a better result as at that time, and is it going to yield a...
What the current regime should do and what they should consider as their plans, whether short-term, long-term, or medium-term plans. But if the discussions were not given the corresponding action plan, it may just be another jamboree meeting, which will not have any direct people to work in achieving its own policies. So whatsoever anybody is bringing on board, whether as previous head of state or as elder statesmen, it has to fit into the strategic plan of this current regime before we can call it an actionable plan. If the meeting can come, if it has been achieved or not, whether it has been achieved or not.
So are you saying that this meeting does not have any strategy? Are you confirming that?
No, I'm not saying that the meeting doesn't have any strategy. But what I'm saying is that the strategy should be a new strategy. Because if it were to be the old strategy, nobody would have been on street protesting. That there is a kind of lack of hope in what we have on board. But if this meeting can present and now, so if the action plan will be effective, it has to be built into whatever action plan the current regime, which is the regime of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has for Nigerians. So if you can bring that in, then the meeting will have a successful arm. But if not, the meeting will not be a successful one, other than maintaining status quo and possibly appealing to the people, either through palliative or many other measures.
Okay, all these your strategies, were they employed during the Buhari's regime, and did they yield a good result at that time? Did the meeting solve the economic situation at that time?
Well, I will tell you that it doesn't solve it, because if it had solved the economic situation as of that period, we wouldn't have these protests as early as this in the life of this administration. You agree with me that the administration is just 1 year on board. So if there has been any positive takeaway from the meeting during the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari, it will have solved many issues to the point that it will be too early for any protest to come on board. Not that the protest will not come, but not too early in the life of this administration. So I think it's what it's supposed to speak to.
Okay, so we are just going to look forward to see what they come up with after the meeting.
Yes.
All right, let me take you to protests. Protests in Nigeria has always had an economic setback. It's always set back or melts down the economy. Looking at the bad governance protest, which was had in 2014, and the EndSARS protest in 2020, that had a very great impact, not really great meltdown on the economy. So how will you describe this 2024 end bad governance protest? How greatly has it impacted the economy?
The protest has impacted greatly the economy in many flanks. even before the protest came on board, we have spent many funds in making sure that the security was not breached at the point at which we were then. There are a lot of investments in military hardware, in military training, in making sure that the stakeholders are bought in to ensure that the security under them are well taken care of. That there should be a law or a policy guiding whatever we call protests, and there should be a direction to what protests should be. Yes, we have freedom of movement, freedom of speech, and many other freedom that supports what we call protests. But this freedom may not be absolute as we've taken it in this part of the world. Then if we are to protest, how are we going to guide against hoodlums taking over it? The taking over the protest by hoodlums have cost many entities a lot. Entities like small and medium scale businesses, entities like livings for the day. So should we count that as economic loss? Yes, they are economic loss, but they may not be reported. We have a lot of debts, a lot of debt of possibly youths and mostly the active population, which will have contributed to future economic growth of Nigeria. Are we looking at that as economic loss? Yes, they are economic loss. Another thing we should take from that as economic loss is the fact that we spent a lot of monies making sure that we enforce the laws. The law during the protests. If we have spent that on many other things, we'll have gained many things. Then most shops were not open, not because of the fact that they were boggled, but because of the fact that they might be boggled, or they might be visited by people running these riots. So they did not open. So the contribution to their own contribution to the gross domestic product of the country is a minus during that protest, and it speaks volume to what Nigeria must have parted away with. That as it may, the protest has made its own impact, and the impact has gone as much as to the root of the economy, which means that the government must roll up its sleeve, work towards making the economy better and making sure that there are securities. There is a kind of system that supports what the protesters demanded for. One of which is the farming activities, the end bad governance in terms of hunger in the land. When I mean hunger in the land, I was expecting the protesters to make many demands from the government, which includes the insecurity within the farming belts. If you look at the protest, you see that it went along the farming belts, which means that the farming belts are feeling the heat of this. So if the government will wake up to its own responsibilities, they will be able to provide security for those within the farming belt. Securities which includes the agro rangers, which includes the forest rangers, which includes many other things that we'll be looking at.
So, in line with the fact that the oil industry has been from one crisis to another for the past few months, why can't Nigeria just go back to agricultural sector? Why can't we depend on agriculture for survival? Must we depend on the oil industry? Why is it so hard for the government to switch to agriculture?
It's not hard for the government to switch to agriculture. It's easier for us to switch into agriculture. But what we have on ground, I used to tell many people that cares to listen that Nigeria got it wrong when government said that it has no business in business. Government is still the highest holder of capital. Government is still the owner of land. Government is still the owner of many logistics. In fact, when we talk about inputs, government still have many influence on what the agricultural inputs are. So where is the government? Where is government running? Why is government running away from having impact in business? So I believe that the government should do more in terms of land acquisition. If you look at the structure of land acquisition, if you look at the structure of inputs, you know that it needs government hands. State governments are the owners of the land in Nigeria within their jurisdiction, but it belongs to individuals and family. Why not call this? Why not earmark large expanse of land and tell government and tell the owners, which are the family owners, that see, we are taking over this land, but it originally belongs to you. Why we use it for mechanized agriculture, and you become a shareholder within the company that has control over the land, or that is using the land for agricultural activities. We have situations where government supplies inputs. We have situations where government supplies inputs to these farmers, but they are not participating in off-taking because of storage spaces. So government still needs to work on agricultural value chain, which starts from the land ownership to the off-taking of the products. If government can provide fertilizers, if government can provide seedlings at cheaper rates, they should be able to off-take and sell to citizens at a controlled rate, not that they allow farmers to sell at an uncontrolled rate or capitalized rate. So government should have hand in what we call the agricultural business and many other business. Nigeria can still thrive under agricultural business, but government should have hands in it so that they earmark some portion of the land within Nigerian sector for cash crop, for agricultural, for non-cash crop, and for many other purposes, or for forest reserves. So the forest reserves we have now may not be able to pull the weight of what we need for forest resources.
Talking about the government taking over the agricultural sector, how are they trying to tackle the insecurity that have engulfed the farming nations, like the farming states, like Benue State? Every day farmers are crying of insecurity, herdsmen beheading farmers while they go to the farm, or even the citizens of the state stealing other farmers' produce. How is the government trying to tackle this situation?
Well, I will tell you that there are new innovations, part of which is the agro rangers and the forest rangers, and part of which is the local government autonomy. Bringing the local government autonomy on board means that many ungoverned land will be governed, and they will be governed to the specific taste of their own area of land. And if these specific spaces are governed according to their peculiarities, I believe that this will address most of the security challenges within those areas. And the coming on board of agro rangers and forest rangers will equally solve that. I know that the legislators and the executive, they are working on how to bring in the state police, the state policing, and possibly the local government policing. If that will fly, I believe that will equally go to the roots of the insecurity. Insecurity within states are local. They are peculiar to situations within the states. Some are driven by mineral resources. Some are driven by political issues. Some are driven by many other reasons. So we cannot take one stock fields, one size to fit all the security challenges. So we need to break these security challenges into their component units. The Nigerian police is trying, but we have many other ungoverned spaces, and we have the police to land ratio, police to population ratio is really not commensurate. So if that is the case, we need many other states inclined security outfits. The Benue State government currently reacted by saying that it will bring on board many security, some 10,000 men security outfits, which is a good response to what they have on ground. Will they be able to match what the threats are posing in terms of equipment, in terms of intelligence gathering? That's another story to be told. And if they can be enforced by the law, they can carry light weapons, and they can carry carry shotguns so that they can combat that at least within the close range before they call for any backup, whether from the military or from the federal police. We have many countries of this world running federal and state policing. We should copy from them. We should look at their own, how we can fit their own system to our own culture, because you know that Nigeria has its own culture and we cannot use a blanket law to fit it into Nigerian system.
Okay, so let's come back to our President Tinubu. He came with a renewed hope for the nation, for Nigerians. So should we still hope on this renewed hope, or we should go back to survival of the fittest?
If we don't hope on it's just a pass of no confidence on the government. We should know that we should have confidence in this government. Like what we are doing, or what you particularly the media houses are doing, is to call the awareness of government to what they've not been doing and what they need to strengthen up in doing. So that's number one. Number two is that we need to engage the government. One of the take home from the protests, which means that citizens are not ready to just settle for less. So if citizens are not ready to settle for less, an average government knows that come 4 years, even if you can survive the 4-year period, come the next 4 years, you may not get that re-election again. And I know that this current regime, whether by magic or deliberate act, they want to put their own name, their own good name, their own name into what we call liquor of this nation. And I know that they are working towards that while still praying towards making that landmark. So I believe that we should have hope, while we should all contribute to making this administration a success. You agree with me that if they succeed, we are equally going to succeed, but based on how much they listen. And I know that the protesters has been able to force the government to listen to whatever the yearnings of the citizens are on the street protesting. Doesn't mean that thousands are not somewhere within the room monitoring the process and even giving support for the process, whether spiritually or financially. So there are a lot of people that are giving support to these protests, and the current government needs to factor in this and work around it to shame its distractors, or to shame its own enemies, in making sure that the governance is still good. We need to watch.
Talking about people are dying every day. People cannot afford three square meals again. We should still continue having hope and confidence in government. Is it till we die? Is it till the country is empty?
Well, there are some things we need to consider. We have the macro side of the economy, and we have the micro side of the economy. The macro side of the economy is driven by the government, while the micro is driven by the companies and private individuals. We should look at how private individuals should drive should take it from where government has stopped to making sure that the country is livable for all. And this time around, we are the country's culture is drifting from the social community to individualism, which means that people now prefer to face their business rather than facing the community business. So it's difficult for people to call for contribution or call for donation and easily get it. I mean, call for tasking people. I mean, asking for help from friends and family, and easily getting that. So I believe that we will do well if we can be our brother's keeper and do more on that. Recently, I know that government is giving tax incentives to companies and entities that are willing to engage more staff or they are willing to take in more staff into their company. And this is one of the social benefits that the government should look into. So in terms of whether we should keep on looking, we can't keep on looking. It's only a fool that you press to the wall and we still be scratching the wall to see maybe there is a way through the wall. We should individually or collectively, we should find a way out of this quagmire we find ourselves. Either if we don't like the government through PVC, or either by engaging the government to a reasonable action plan and a reasonable active work. And the government should equally be sincere to open its book to us, to tell us what they are planning to do within the short term, within the long term, and the medium term plans. This will give that renewed hope. That will give what we should be looking ahead to. It's not enough for the government to tell us that there is something coming on board that will gladden the heart of the citizens, but to ensure that there are plans, that there are milestones to their plan. This is what I want to achieve this year. This is what I will achieve in 2 years.
Exactly. So the government should try and be very transparent with the citizens. Let us all be involved in the process of making the country better. At least when we see the progress, we can keep having confidence and keep hoping. But when we don't see anything, they are just telling us to keep hoping and keep having confidence. That's when we lose the confidence and we lose the hope. So we are crying on to the government to let it be transparent and let us all work together as a nation to come to a better stand in the country. So finally, Mr. Wole Joshua, going back to the head of state meeting that will happen today, what set of rapid expectations should Nigerians expect from the meeting? What sort of expectation?
The expectation that Nigerians should be looking forward to from this meeting is to tackle insecurity and to ensure that Nigerian earn living wage. Nigerian can take monies to the market and be sure of what they are going to buy, and a tamed inflation rate, whether through the forex market management or through the subsidy management. Or I will always look forward to a government that will work much on the price regulation, price control, or price control board, because that is where the government can arrest the inflation rates. You will agree with me that most of this inflation, yes, cost driven, but possibly much of it are not cost driven. They are driven by many other things other than costs. So if we can tame the price, we can work on the inflation. And I'm looking at what we can pick up from Dangote Refinery. Dangote Refinery is strategic to Nigeria's economy, and we cannot leave that $1 billion investment into the drain to frizzle out, or into a man to just handle. It's more than Dangote himself. We need a kind of drive from the government. Yes, you can argue with me that Dangote has benefited from capitalism and has benefited from government, but this Dangote refinery is critical to the refining sector of Nigeria. What we should be looking ahead to from the government is equally how to control our blue economy. When I mean blue economy, I mean what happens after the shores of our country. What happens at the sea? How do we control what happens at the sea? How do we meter our crude oil to know what we are actually selling out? How do we ensure that it's only one tap that supplies the outflow of oil, not diverse taps which are not monitored? So we have many things that we expect from this government, but we cannot work beyond the agenda that they have before themselves. And I know that the agenda will be strategic in nature. It will be detrimental for this kind of meeting to be talking about palliative. We should be talking about strategic involvement of the government in ensuring that many things were being solved at the decision of the government. Many things which includes insecurity, particularly of itself. Then we talk about the tackling, nipping the corruption index at the board, so that it won't eat deep into what we have as a nation. So we are looking at their strategic decision, and their strategic decision will make an impact on this economy. And we are looking at giving a course, a chart for the local government, the recently acquired local government autonomy, how we can manage it, and how we can give roles to local government autonomy, which includes the role to our traditional rulers. Role to our traditional rulers and local government autonomy will greatly solve what we call insecurity in Nigeria, because it is local to the local government. The insecurity is local within the local government, and they will be able to nip it at the board. We know each other, and we can identify strangers when we see strangers.
So Nigerians should look forward to all this you mentioned, and even we should hope on a renewed hope.
Renewed hope.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program today, Mr. Wole Joshua. And that has been Mr. Wole Joshua, a chartered accountant and a tax administrator. Thank you for joining us. This will be the size of our program for today. I am Idris Amina. Bye for now.